Depreciation, it affects everything you buy and everything you own. Over the course of time, things become less and less valuable, even the money in your pocket due to inflation and other factors. So in this video, I'm going to be going over vehicle depreciation and exactly how it affects you and your car buying decision. So stay tuned after the intro, and I'm going to be sharing all the information with you. So, what exactly is depreciation? From the Merriam-Webster dictionary, depreciation is defined as following: a reduction in the value of an asset over the passage of time, due in particular to wear and tear. So as things get older, they become more used, wear and tear, scratches, cuts, dents, breaks, whatever, that makes that vehicle or that item less valuable. In terms of the money, it could be due to war, it could be due to GDP, it can be due to a lot of things. So specifically when it comes to a motor vehicle, scratch seats, scratch wheels, bad paint, accidents, it affects the depreciation. But at one point, that car was new, so it didn't have anything. So in this little XY axis, I have time at the bottom, and I have vehicle value on the y-axis, with it being put into a percentage because I didn't want to get into any specific vehicle. So I took the national average of depreciation over time for a vehicle and just plotted how that vehicle depreciates over time. So 100% of the value means this car is brand new, hasn't been driven, 0 years, and then as the years go by, the value of that car goes down. So one thing a lot of people want to complain to me about, or not really complain, but just point out, like, hey, Mark, if I buy a new car, as soon as I drive it off the lot, the value drops immediately. Yes, that is true. It's actually 11% of that vehicle value drops as soon as you drive it off the lot. As soon as you sign it out of line, as soon as you drive it home, that vehicle is worth 11% less. And that's just the market, because it's no longer a new car, it's your car. If you want to sell it, it'll be a used car, but it is your car. And if you did your research, if you knew exactly what you wanted, did your shopping, did your research, asked all the questions, you shouldn't have to worry about that little 11%, because you're going to be owning that vehicle for at least 5 years, because that's the average length of time most Americans keep their vehicle. And after 5 years, then you're in good shape to be able to use some of that equity in that vehicle, even though it did depreciate. So let's go over this graph real quick. So as you can see, not even 1 year has gone by, 11% of the vehicle value has dropped, leaving your car at around 89% of its initial value as soon as you drive it off the lot. Then at the end of year 2, you're looking at around another 10%, leaving you at 80% of your vehicle's value. You can take that number, multiply it by take the initial cost of your vehicle, multiply it by 0.8. You can see exactly what it's going to be worth after a year. Like I said, these are national averages. Then you lose about another 20% at the end of year 2, leaving you at around 60% in total. And then at the end of year 3, you're at around 50%. Year 3 is a very important milestone because this is the term length for most lease vehicles. And when you lease a vehicle, the company will say, hey, at the end of 3 years, your vehicle will be worth this much at the end of the lease. And that number is based on the previous statistics of that model, how it performed, and how it performs in the used car market, and what is being purchased for in the used car market. So they use all that past data to be able to say, all right, based on that, your vehicle will be worth this much money. In terms of my Corolla, it was about, it'll be worth around 45% of what it was initially. But in terms of a 4Runner or something in a Toyota truck lineup, that number's around 35%. So at the end of year 3, you're only losing around 35% of that vehicle value, which leaves you up here at around 75, which is much, much higher than the national average. At the end of year 4, you lose about another 7%, and then it'll continue slowly trending downwards. And you can see there's that initial drop at the beginning. You take an initial hit, and then it slowly tapers down when you get towards the 10-year mark, where your vehicle's only going to be worth around 30, maybe 25% of its initial value when it was bought new. So that is the basic trend of vehicle depreciation. But what most people do when they're looking for a vehicle, they don't want to buy it new, but they also want coverage, is they get a certified pre-owned car. And certified pre-owned vehicles are normally leased vehicles that the company put back on their lot, or the dealership, I should say, to try and help customers take advantage of, one, the low miles driven, two, the fact that you can now get a warranty with it being a certified used vehicle, and three, knowing that it's a vehicle that the company puts their name on. So most people, when they're looking for a used vehicle, they start looking for something around 2 to 3 years old, because they know that the majority of that depreciation is already gone, and a 3-year-old vehicle still has some of the newest and latest technology in it, and still be able to give you a peace of mind with knowing that something won't break. Like if you did buy a 10-year-old car that's been driven, it's probably got around 100,000 miles on it, potentially even more. So this is where a lot of people start looking for used cars, something 3-year-olds or older, because it took that initial depreciation and then it starts flatlining as time goes on. So it's really up to you when it comes to the depreciation. If you want to buy new because you want the new car, you don't want any miles on it, you don't want a vehicle that someone else has already driven, or if you want to go certified pre-owned or used because you know you have some significant cash savings, you can avoid the depreciation and be able to sell the vehicle and still maybe have a higher chance of having some equity in the car, but it all depends if you put money down or whatever. So buying a certified pre-owned or a used vehicle is a great way to avoid the initial hit of depreciation. But if you want a new car, if you want something that's fresh, that's clean, that's right out of the factory, that has all the technology and safety equipment that you want for you and your family, new is the way to go. And if you do buy new, I suggest to keep the vehicle at least 3 years. But I do recommend keeping it for 5 years. For at least 3 years to 5 years. And then if you want to get into something else, then you'd be able to take advantage of that equity and not have that depreciation be such a big hit. One thing I do see when people come in, they want to look for a Toyota. They have a 1-2-year-old car that they finance. They want to trade it in. They want to get a Toyota. And when we show them the value of their car, they're completely flabbergasted because it's worth way less than what they paid for it, a year and a half ago, and that is because of the initial hit on depreciation. So take that in mind, and like I said before in the video, ensure that you're looking at the right car for you and your family. Think a year, 2 years in the future, just so you can have all your bases covered if your life does change. So don't get a sports car if you know that there's a chance that you do want a family in the next year or two. So depreciation is something that you cannot and will not be able to avoid at all. Something that I do want to talk about is vehicle appreciation, where we're not talking about, hey, this car is awesome, let's give it some praise. We're talking about vehicles that increase in value over time. One example I saw online was a E39 BMW M5, one of my favorite sports cars of all time. When it was launched in the mid-2000s, that car hit the market and it was worth around $75,000. And recently, a low mileage, low modification, very clean example of this car sold for $176,000. And that was this year. A vehicle sold for more than twice its initial value when it was new. And that's because certain vehicles are more sought after by collectors, enthusiasts, and other people of the sort. So some vehicles actually appreciate in value, some things actually appreciate in value, like more collectibles, art, vintage things that appreciate in value. But most of the things on this planet do decrease in value over time. Even the Mark IV Supra. The Mark IV Supra is Toyota's flagship sports car, and it is deemed to be probably one of the greatest sports cars of all time. And finding a clean version of that car is very difficult. From the Fast and the Furious movies, This car became praised as the protagonist car, and now when it was released in 1993, the car was selling on the market from dealerships at around, I believe it was $60,000 to $70,000. Now they're selling for about $120,000 on the auction market. So, like I said, not everything depreciates that much over time, but with the Supra's case and the BMW M5, initially those cars dropped in value. Those cars saw a significant drop in value, just like you saw on this graph, but as time goes on, that vehicle started to see an upward trend in value to where now they're above 100% and around 200, 220% in some cases. So to sum the video up, yes, your car is a depreciating asset, but think about all the things you'll be able to do with that car. Think about all the places you'll go, the things you'll see, the amount of experiences that vehicle will be able to afford you in your life. So even though it is a depreciating asset, don't focus on that too much. Think about all the experiences that vehicle will be able to afford you in the future for you and your family. So that is my video on vehicle depreciation. If you have any questions, please send me an email and click on the subscribe button right here so you can get more updates on videos while I cover more Toyota and just automotive topics in general. I'll be coming out with some more videos on some Toyota vehicles that are just hitting the market, specifically the RAV4, the Corolla, and the Toyota Prius all-wheel drive. So stay tuned for those videos. I'll be doing some in-depth reviews and so stay tuned for those videos. I'll be doing some update reviews and some more and talking about some of the more. I'll be doing a thorough review while talking about some. So as new vehicles come out, I will be talking about them, and as new topics come into my head that I think you would want to know more about, I'll definitely do a video on them too. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. My name is Amari. I sell Toyotas, and I also help you learn more about vehicle and... So thank you for watching. My name is Amari. I sell Toyotas over here at Green's Toyota of Lexington, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video about this very important topic. Stay tuned for the next video, and Merry Christmas.